down the position, claiming he was too committed to his studies. Back to the quiches, Jack sighed that night, though Johnny and Chrissy assured him that his aggressive duck would live on in apartment legend. Chapter 19: The Haunted Pipes. The plumbing in the apartment complex had always been temperamental, but one cold October night, the pipes began to sing. It started as a low whistle and evolved into a series of rhythmic thumps that sounded disturbingly like footsteps in the hallway. "It's a ghost," Chrissy whispered, clutching a flashlight. "I read about this. An old sea captain who lived here before the Ropers and died looking for his lost anchor." "It's not a ghost, Chrissy. It's Stanley Roper with a hammer," Jonna countered, though she was checking under her bed just in case. Jack, feeling the need to be the protector, grabbed a rolling pin and led an expedition into the basement. The basement of the complex was a labyrinth of dark corners, cobwebs, and old steamer trunks. "If I'm taken by the anchor ghost, tell Pierre I died for my art," Jack called out as he descended the stairs. In the darkness, they saw a flickering light. They rounded a corner to find Stanley Roper, wearing a miner's helmet and surrounded by a dozen leaking pipes. "I'm telling you, the building is sinking," Stanley muttered, frantically tightening a bolt. "It's the water table. It's rising. We're all gonna be underwater by morning." "Mr. Roper, it's just a loose valve," Jack said, trying to help. But the valve wouldn't budge. In the struggle, a pipe burst, spraying Stanley and Jack with a jet of icy water. The thumping intensified as the water pressure hit the old heaters. To the girls upstairs, it sounded like a full-scale haunting. Helen Roper appeared at the top of the stairs, draped in a leopard print robe. "Stanley, are you trying to drown the neighbors or just yourself? Come to bed." The ghost was laid to rest, but the pipes were never the same. For weeks afterward, whenever someone flushed a toilet, the building played a sound that vaguely resembled a Sousa march. Chapter 20: The Bachelor Auction. The Regal Beagle was buzzing with a different kind of energy. A charity auction was being held to raise money for the local library, and Larry Dallas had somehow talked Jack into being one of the prizes. "It's for a good cause, Jack," Larry insisted, adjusting Jack's booty. "And think of the publicity. The masked chef up for grabs." Jack was terrified. He stood on the small stage, feeling like a side of beef at a meat market. The bidding started low $5, $10. Then a voice from the back called out, $50. It was a woman named Sheila, a wealthy socialite known for her aggressive pursuit of young men. Jonna and Chrissy, watching from the booth, were horrified. "We can't let her win him," Chrissy whispered. "She'll turn him into a butler. Or worse," Jonna added, "she'll make him cook for her poodles." The bidding war began. Jonna and Chrissy pooled their meager resources, bidding $60. Sheila countered with $80. Larry, seeing the drama, started bidding against himself just to keep the excitement going. In the end, it was Monsieur Pierre who won the bid for a staggering $200. He didn't want a date. He wanted Jack to clean the grease traps at the Culinary Institute for a week. At least it's not the poodles, Jack sighed, handing over his apron to Pierre. Chapter 21, The TV Star. A local morning show, Good Morning Santa Monica, was looking for a student chef to do a live segment on cooking on a budget. Monsieur Pierre, surprisingly, recommended Jack. "Don't embarrass me, Tripper," Pierre warned. Jack was a bundle of nerves. On the day of the broadcast, he stood in front of the cameras, surrounded by lights and microphones. The host, a woman with hair that defied gravity, was overly enthusiastic. And today, Jack is going to show us how to make a 5-course meal out of a single can of tuna. She beamed. Jack started well, his hands moving with practiced ease. But then a fly entered the studio. It was a large, determined fly that seemed fascinated by the tuna. Jack spent the next 5 minutes of live television attempting to swat the fly with a spatula while trying to explain the importance of seasoning. The segment was a disaster. The tuna ended up on the floor. The host was accidentally hit with a splash of lemon juice, and the fly became the star of the show. When Jack got home, he found Jeanne and Chrissy laughing hysterically in front of the TV. "You were great, Jack," Chrissy wheezed. "The way you handled that spatula. It was like a ninja chef." "I'm never going on TV again," Jack muttered, though he couldn't help but smile at his own misfortune. Chapter 22, The High-Rise Dream. For a brief moment, the trio considered moving. A new, luxury high-rise had opened a few blocks away, and Larry Dallas had a connection for a discount. "Imagine it, girls." Jack gestured to the ceiling. Central air, a pool on the roof, and a landlord who doesn't check the pipes at 3 a.m. with a miner's helmet. They went to tour the building. It was sleek, modern, and incredibly quiet. The manager was a woman who looked like she had never laughed in her life. "We have very strict rules here," she said, looking at Jack's orange sunshirt. "No noise after 8 p.m., no guests, and certainly no cooking smells." They looked at each other. They thought about the ropers, the leaking pipes, the weather checks, and the chaotic, lovable space they called home. "You know," Jeanne said as they walked back to the courtyard, "I think I'd miss the thumping pipes." "And the prying binoculars," Chrissy added. "And the $50 dates," Jack concluded. They walked back into apartment 201 and realized that the grass wasn't greener. It was just more expensive and less fun. Chapter 23, The Cooking School Rivals. Jack was back at the community college, and the tension in the kitchen was palpable. Monsieur Pierre had announced a midterm cook-off with a grand prize of a weekend apprenticeship at a 3-star restaurant in San Francisco.